Do you see a difference between investing and saving?
No.
So investing and saving are the same.
Investing is a form of saving.
Why do we have the two words?
Our strategy has been to enable investors to have access to global markets here on ADX.
Whoever is doing this is qualified, is experienced, and knows how to do that.
17 ETFs that we have listed on ADX, 10 of them are Sharia compliant.
Ahlan. Welcome to our new Connect episode in the UAE. We always get these requests that we wanna have an expert investing our money on our behalf, and our answer has always been this is already available through mutual funds and ETFs. Today we have Sherif Salem with us to tell us more about this. You have more than 20 years of experience.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is when we add your ETFs, your company's ETFs, we're making you work for our everyday individuals. I'm not sure if you will be offended by this or not, but that's the reality of what we're trying to do. Yeah. It's as if our users are now hiring you to manage their money on their behalf.
Let's start off with the mutual funds. So mutual funds are managed by what is called an asset manager. An asset manager is a licensed institution, licensed by the regulator in whichever jurisdiction they're in, and this asset manager then has a team, qualified team, that a team of analysts, a team of portfolio managers, legal, compliance, and all the support functions in order to best be able to manage money for their investors. Now, the investment manager comes up with a mutual fund. A mutual fund can be any sort of mutual fund. It can be equities, it can be fixed income, it can be commodities. Mutual fund is putting together a number of assets under one basket in a mutual fund that allows the investor to invest one time into this mutual fund and have exposure across multiple equities, multiple asset classes. Okay. But that's mutual fund, and it's the basis of exchange traded funds.
قبل ما نروح للexchange traded funds, because what you mentioned is beautiful. So one you mentioned is regulated. Mm-hmm. I don't think any regulator in any jurisdiction or in any country would take this notion of managing others' people money lightly. Mm-hmm. Whatever you guys are doing is under a very close supervision by the regulator.
Definitely.
This is one, which is a very interesting. يعني انت مش بتدي فلوسك لأي حد to manage it on your behalf to a regulated entity. جزء من regulations in whoever is doing this is qualified, is experienced, and knows how to do that. You also mentioned the team that you have. And then the third piece, or the third thing that you mentioned, there are clear mandates or investment strategies. So it's not like I give you my money and you decide what you do with it. Mm-hmm. You tell me, this will invest in equities. This will invest in Saudi equities. Or this will invest in fixed income. This will invest in quantum technology, whatever the mandate. So would you agree that this is a way, as a retail investor, as an everyday individual, to have an expert investing my money on my behalf?
Definitely. I've been doing it even before I entered my career in finance. It's being done across the world in pension funds, in savings plans. You are protected by the regulator, who, as I said, has regular supervision. So we get visits by the regulator on a regular basis. We have to file certain reports on a regular basis with the regulator. He ensures that we have a compliance team, that we have a risk assessment team, that we have a legal team, as well as the people that are managing the money have certain qualifications. It's not about us saying this person's qualified. We have to submit what these qualifications are, and each regulator has, for this position, he has to have this sort of qualification.
So it's much more than just wearing suits.
Exactly.
It's much more, and fancy watches. It's much more than this. You have more than 20 years of investment experience. Mm-hmm. Tell us more about it. about your journey.
I started a very long time ago. Yeah, 20, it's over 25, I think, in EFG Hermes. طبعا, the 90s, anyone who wanted to be in finance was EFG Hermes was the perfect place to be, and I learned a lot during my years there. I was in asset management. Actually, originally I wanted to be a broker. But as it was at the time, there wasn't an opening in brokerage, and I ended up being in asset management, which was definitely one of the best things that happened to me. I stayed at EFG until 2002. And then in between, I went and did my master's, came back. And then I wanted to come to the UAE. I was very ما كانتش ان هي كان في شغلانه فانا جيت الامارات. لا، انا كنت عايز اجي الامارات، فكنت بدور على شغل. وحتى اياميها في 2003 كان لسه الاسواق كانت لسه ابتدت في سنه 2000. فاما كنت بدور على شغل اسيت مانجمنت، ما كانش حد فاهم ايه اسيت مانجمنت. الهيد هانترز كانوش وقتها، كان في 2 بس، بنك ابو ظبي الوطني، واياميها اي ثينك كان شعاع برضه، مش متاكد. بس I ended up joining National Bank of Abu Dhabi اللي هو فاب دلوقتي. All in asset management. Continued in my journey with Invest AD. Did a short stint at Emirates NBD UNB. And then I joined Lunate, which at the time كانت Chimera Capital in December 2019.
So before we talk about Lunate, you look much younger than years of experience. What's your secret other than investing? Is it investing?
So
if like we start investing early,
maybe. أنا عايز أقول لك actually
you don't age if you invest.
إيه ده؟
Can we claim this message? You age much better if you invest.
لا, بس I wanted to tell you actually one of the first things I did here, because obviously when I moved to the UAE, it was the first time. I wasn't married at the time, but it was the first time حتى that I lived away from home. One of the first things I did was I set up a savings plan. And the savings plan was basically, it's a plan made up of ETFs. فكان كل شهر بيتخصم من حسابي، كان أياميها I think $100 ولا حاجة كده، وبيتحوشوا and you forget about them, and 10 years later بتلاقي ان عندك a good amount of money.
I think lately people has been talking more frequently about this, the importance of mental well-being, physical well-being, and so on and so forth. And I think people underestimate the impact of stress you get from financial worries in general. And the moment you start investing and the moment you start having this cushion, it has a direct impact on your mental well-being in general. Do you agree with that?
Definitely. Having financial back, أو يعني something that you can lean on. بص, and I speak and I honestly speak from experience, because obviously I've been here, as you know, since 2003, lots of ups and downs. And there were a couple of times where I needed to fall back on my savings. And it was because of what I told you that I did when I first came. And it just got me used to doing that I continued doing that. And obviously, as you make more money, you should put a certain amount of it's anywhere between 5 to 10%, put it aside as an investment.
We say 10 to 20%.
10 to 20. Like, it'll depend on
economy. It's now more challenging, so 10 to 20%.
10 to 20.
You know, something that we always say at Thunder, or like for other startups, you never raise money when you need the money.
Yeah, exactly.
You never start investing when you need the money.
Exactly.
The best time to start investing when you don't need the money. And then once you start investing, it gives you power to live life on your own terms. And 2, it gives you peace of mind.
Definitely. Because the costs, and especially if you have a family, there's a lot when you're working and income is coming in. You don't think about that, and as you said, you take advantage of the fact when you have income coming in and you have enough income to support you that you wouldn't 10 or 20% putting that aside is not going to impact your everyday life and will benefit you later on.
I think the other thing that you've mentioned, we have a lot of respect to active traders. And actually it's a craft that we believe in. We build tools and information for active traders. But whether you decide to actively trade or not, having a passive investment portfolio where you track indices is a must-have component of anyone's portfolio. Do you agree with this?
Definitely. And here if you look at historical performances across equity markets, generally all developed markets. Emerging markets obviously will have had a bit more volatility, but if you look at, and that's why everyone in the world invests in ETFs and the stock market, because over the 10-15-year period, you will do better than inflation, and you will do better in terms of returns. There will be a lot of ups and downs. There will be, but over the long term, 10 to 15 years, which is what a savings plan should be, at least, you definitely come out on top.
So do you agree with this statement? Everyone wants to grow his money or her money. Everyone wants to preserve the value of whatever money he or she made. And the best way to do that is through having a portion that is invested in ETFs on a monthly basis.
Yes, definitely. Definitely part of the portfolio should be put to that. And I realize there are times when you want to do active trading, you want to buy a stock because an IPO, you can do that, but that shouldn't interfere with the money that you're putting aside as a long-term investment.
This is what we believe in. We will provide you with tools and information that would help you follow whatever strategies you have in order to beat the market. If you want to do that, if you want to put time and effort to do that, do that. Regardless of whether you're doing this or not, a portion of your monthly income should be allocated and invested in ETFs or like in mutual funds, in equities. And like we will talk about the different types of funds on a monthly basis. If you decide to allocate a portion towards active investing, this would have or like would deliver a certain objective other than this long-term financial well-being.
Relate about over and above what you're doing, it extra you're putting in active, but that shouldn't replace.
Do you work out?
I try to.
You try to. So actually, your secret to aging beautifully is
it's not working out.
Is investing. So if you're investing on a monthly basis, maybe you don't need to work out. I'm going to go back to your journey. What made you join Lunate?
It was the idea, it was the vision, it was the challenge of doing something different. And up to that time had all been active management. I had done very interesting things. I've managed funds investing in Africa. I've managed funds investing in Libya and Iraq, and of course Egypt and the UAE. But I've done very interesting things. This was different. It was something that didn't exist here, ETFs. So
the vision is to build a comprehensive suite of ETFs.
Yes.
This is what you liked about it.
Yeah.
Can we take a step back? If you would describe your investment philosophy, and I'm watching this, I want to get some tips and tricks. I want to get a bit more closer to your investment philosophy.
Look, I think I learned a lot during my years. Definitely, when you're younger, maybe you're a bit more reactive, but so definitely one thing is long term. and it all ties in, I guess. But it's long-term investing, believing in when you've done the research and analysis and you are convinced by what you're buying into, unless there's something dramatic that changes. But do not get sucked into this volatility of drops and falls and stocks moving because of news. It's believing in it's believing in the investment idea that you have and sticking with it. And a lot of people يعني بيقول لك مثلا Warren Buffett, one of his famous quotes is that you invest when there's blood on this. Basically, everyone sells when everyone is selling, when it's actually the best time to buy. I'll tell you مثلا, and it maybe ties into one of our exchange traded funds, but we launched our first exchange traded fund during COVID, and that turned out to be the low of the market, or near the low of the market in 2020. Whereas a lot of people at the time were thinking, we're selling. It is definitely having what's the word? Having
a thesis.
Patience and
having a thesis.
Having a thesis.
So for example, you guys just launched the quantum ETF.
Yeah.
You will make really good money in investing in this ETF when there is a huge advancement in the quantum and the use cases of quantum and so on and so forth. If this is delayed, you know that this means that it will take more time for you to realize good returns on this fund. If something happens and we see an open eye like evolution or advancement in the quantum, you will make so much money into it. I want to ask you a question that we always get. When you say long term, this is a very confusing statement for a lot of the everyday individuals. What do you mean by long term?
Long term can be 10 to 15 years.
So if I to invest, the only thing that this would give me is a 10 to 15 years returns?
Let me correct that. Obviously, it'll depend on your age. That's another thing. طبعا, when you're younger, you're able to take more risks because you have a lot more years to make up in case there's. As you're getting older, طبعا, you want to go more conservative because the years to retirement getting closer. It'll depend طبعا on the investor themselves. But 10 to 15 years is long enough, is at least what you should have in mind when you're investing, and not, it can be 7 years. It can, but don't say long term isn't a year or 3 years.
Can I tell you my perspective? When we say long term, it means that the money that you're investing in equities in companies is money that you don't need over the next at least 2 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you will only see returns out of this investment in 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
You might,
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned it's money whereby if there is anything happening like COVID or Corona and there is volatility, you don't need to panic. You don't need to rush into selling. You can actually withstand those.
Exactly.
But in the current economic ecosystem, people have been able to realize money and returns from investing in equities over shorter periods of time than the 10 to 15 years. But I think the key is you cannot use the money that you need for your car installments, for your kids' tuition fees, and invest them in companies.
Exactly.
But it's so demotivating for people to think that they will only achieve returns on this after 10 to 15 years.
Not returns hits, بالضبط exactly like a bank. A bank has to match its assets versus its liabilities. there'll be if it has short-term assets or say 60% short-term asset, has to match it with. This is exactly the same. Yani consider yourself like a bank with a financial. And at one point, actually, I did have on an Excel sheet a financial statement for my household, because you have costs, you have revenues. That's the idea. And انت مثلا دلوقتي when you're starting off in life, you have short-term costs. But then you have, if you plan or you have kids, you know that there'll be university. You have that, depending on how old they are, you'll know that مثلا in 7 years, I'll need a bulk for my son to be able to pay for. These are the things, that's what I mean by long-term. It'll depend on the person, but it's not that you will only see returns in 10 years. It's that you won't be needing that money, and therefore you can withstand volatility as well as try and maximize the returns.
Can I tell you another perspective? And keen to hear your thoughts. I think everyone and his brother and cousin always thought about resigning at some point in time and doing their own business. I think especially in our region, this idea of having my own private business is a big thing for everyone, right? If you had the chance to do that, no one needs to tell you for you to start seeing or making money or like getting the benefits of having this startup. You need time for you, like, to develop the product, to sell the product, to build the brand, for people to know your brand, and like to do that. When we think about investing, it's me being able to have an investment in a company without all this hassle, right? Accordingly, similar to how I would approach investing or like starting my own startup, I would also approach investing in a company. It takes time for companies to deliver on their plans. Now, with you guys coming in, now I can actually start a company in Germany through investing in your ETF that invests or tracks the German index. I can have a private business in China, in Japan, in the US, in Saudi, in UAE. Do you agree with this perspective?
Yes, definitely. It's something that you have to be patient with. And as you said, if you believe in the business that you've started, then when you invest in a China ETF or a Germany ETF or UAE ETF, you believe in that investment, and therefore you don't give up on it as soon as it starts.
And then, like what you're saying right now, you can actually invest directly in companies, or you can actually invest in an equities, like in the UAE market, which would be a proxy to investing in the biggest companies in this market, right?
بالضبط.
So it's either you believe in the companies per se, or you believe in the prospects of this economy.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of ETFs, is you're buying the market, which is a reflection of the economy, and the ETF is made up of 15, 30 big names of that economy, which are part of that growth of that. But it's all intertwined, and you're buying it with one purchase.
So there is this layer of investing in companies. There is this layer of investing in an ETF that tracks an economy.
Yeah.
Why would I choose to invest in ETF that tracks the ADX biggest 15 companies rather than actually choosing companies on the ADX?
First of all, it's more cost efficient, because if you're going to buy 15 stocks, there's brokerage commission that you're going to pay on all these 15 trades. Whereas with the ETF, you're buying one stock that's one share that's listed and tracks all these. But you're getting all 15 with one purchase. You're getting, if you're diversifying the risk, because obviously things happen with companies and things, you can have ups and downs and volatility. But when you have a fund that is made up of 15 or 30 companies, the performance of some will outweigh the performance of others. You hope that the positive outweighs the negative. And that is what you're getting in terms of an ETF. And of course, if you have no idea what, say مثلا, a lot of people are talking about, perfect example today, Saudi. Saudi just announced they want to increase the foreign ownership up to 49%. What stock do I buy? Buy the ETF. It's the whole Saudi, and the whole Saudi market is rallying. The Saudi ETF is one trade, and you've got exposure to 30 of the biggest Saudi companies.
Actually, I think it's about time we tell our viewers what are the ETFs that you guys offer at Lunate.
بس احنا as I mentioned, we launched our first ETF in July 2020. From the start, our strategy has been to enable, we realize the importance, the benefits of ETFs for investors. So what we are doing, and our strategy is to enable investors to have access to global markets here on ADX through their broker on ADX in dirhams, trading during the time that they are awake here, and to give them broad-based exposure. We started with the UAE, we expanded regionally, giving access to Saudi, Kuwait, the biggest markets. Then globally, everyone's interested in, the biggest market in the world, the US. We then added emerging markets, China, India. There's Europe is represented by Germany, Asia is represented by Japan. We've even added, and Turkey, we've even added a frontier market, Pakistan ETF. And then once we did that with the equities, and we felt that we had the coverage of what a world index would provide to an investor, we then wanted to add a bit of stability to any portfolio, and that is through fixed income. We launched a UAE bond ETF, Sukuk for Sharia, and a short-term U.S. Treasury T-bill. By the way, of the 17 ETFs that we have listed on ADX, 10 of them are Sharia compliant, and that's one of the other things that makes our offering unique, in that we have a lot of Sharia compliant products that are not available around the world even. And then most recently, a quantum, a sort of a satellite, because these are what we would call tracking the broad index, equity index, or broad fixed income index, what is core, because it's giving you a traditional exposure. And then a satellite, which is quantum, which is high growth and high volatility, and adds a bit more maybe towards more volatility and risk to a portfolio.
Can I ask you a philosophical question? Do you see a difference between investing and saving?
No.
So investing and saving are the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Investing is a form of saving.
Okay. So why do we have the two words then?
Saving, I think saving comes traditionally because banks, عشان بنوك probably were the first.
Traditionally, saving is perceived as a lower risk,
I think,
way of investing.
Yeah, I think when you say saving, people immediately think of a bank deposit.
A low risk.
A low risk.
Low risk. And then when I look at the portfolio, like the different themes that you've mentioned, there are the fixed income, products like the Bondeya, the Sukuk, the US Treasuries. These are like, it's a savings like products. But then when I also think about ETFs and a direct benefit of investing in an ETF that tracks a market is diversification, which would also reduce the risks. And this would take me to my question. Do you think that investing in ETFs should be considered as one of the best ways to save?
Yes, definitely. And it's again, as I said, it's used globally. One of the reasons ETFs boomed in the US is because of the 401k, which is sort of like the pension in the US. All the 401k plans, they use ETFs. That's the underlying.
And then for the short-term needs, you put your money in the fixed income themed ETFs.
Possibly, yeah.
For the longer term goals, you would put it in the equities ETFs.
Yes, or depending on your risk, it could be a portfolio made up of equity, fixed income, and maybe even, depending on your appetite for risk, a bit of something like quantum. But it could be split up between equity and
1,000,000%. One of the things that we've learned over the years is we're not like it's not like everyone would have one goal or one objective. Like I would have some short-term needs and I would have some long-term aspirations. The short-term needs would be met by putting your money in the fixed income ETFs. The longer-term aspirations would be met by putting your money between the equities ETFs and the satellite ETFs. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
So, Sherif, I want to ask you a question. Like now, as an investor who would have access to the different markets, why would I choose the ETFs by you guys listed on ADX?
We built the ETFs, we're building the suite of ETFs here in the UAE to enable the UAE investor who has access to ADX already, who can transact in dirhams, to be able to access the world from the UAE. A lot of the ETFs that we have are Sharia compliant, which a lot of investors are keen on, prefer to the more conventional ETFs. And they are trading at the same time that the underlying of those stocks of the ETFs, underlying stocks of the ETFs are trading. So things like the UAE, Saudi, even Europe to a large extent, it's trading while the UAE is opening, and therefore you can measure the performance and you can see it live. Whereas in the US, if you're investing in a US or Saudi ETF, you're basically trading blind because you're trading during the time when Saudi is not open and UAE, and you see what's going to happen the next day. So that's what we're building the ETFs for. We're building the ETFs for the UAE investors for the ease of access.
Can I ask you? Can I give a statement and feel free to agree or disagree?
Yeah.
I think a big theme in our region is localization. So what you guys are doing, you're providing a localized version of ETFs that is localized to our region. You guys understand the importance and actually not the importance, there is a huge demand for Sharia compliant products. Exactly. You're doing that.
Yeah.
In dirhams, you're doing that. Like it's the currency. It's when it matches our wake up time and our sleeping time. So it's it's the most localized and relevant version of ETFs.
Yeah. To add to this localization piece, let me give you some examples of the ETFs that are Sharia compliant, which there isn't in the US. So you have the Kuwait Sharia ETF. The one listed in the US is conventional. The UAE Sharia ETF, the one listed in the US, is conventional. Saudi Sharia ETF, the one listed in the US, is conventional. So the Sharia flavor is something that we've focused a lot on in bringing to local investors.
If you would give one piece of advice to to someone who's starting his investing journey now, what would it be?
Putting aside money on a monthly basis. As I said, it's the perfect way, and it's something when you set up, especially the recurring, you set it up automatically recurring, you don't feel it. You don't even look at it. يعني أنا and that's what long-term also means is you're putting, you know that money is going in on a monthly basis. Once in a while you look at what the market's doing, but you just leave it, forget it. Don't go in and constantly, my savings are down, my savings are up.
And hopefully they will be there when you need them.
Yeah.
Like if you start early and you're doing it habitually,
then you can go through.
They will be there when you need them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Like I would reiterate what I said before. If you are a founder, you don't raise funds when you need the money.
Yeah.
You raise funds when you don't need the money.
Yeah.
As an everyday individuals, you don't start investing when you need the money.
Yeah.
You start investing when you do not need the money. You can actually let go 10 or 5 to 20% of your monthly income. And then by the time you need the money, they will be there for you.
Yep.
Exactly. Sherif, thank you so much for giving us the time.
Was,
anything that you want to add that we didn't talk about?
I think we covered everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.